You ever notice how life gets the loudest right before something changes? How everything seems to fall apart? People start to leave. The weight on your chest gets heavier, and you start wondering if maybe you're cursed instead of blessed. Funny thing, that's usually when the universe is preparing something. Not a coincidence. Not luck. Preparation. See, blessings don't come wrapped in gold. They come disguised as chaos. The bigger the gift, the darker the storm before it. People think blessings feel good. They don't. They break you first. They strip away your comfort, your certainty, your control. They make you question everything you thought you understood. Because before something new can enter your life, the old has to burn. The weak connections have to snap. The illusions have to crumble. And the version of you that's not ready to receive has to die. That's the price of transformation. You lose the version of yourself that wasn't meant to rise. Chaos is the language of transformation. The moment everything starts breaking, twisting, spinning out of control, that's when something's shifting. You see, everyone wants to rise, but no one wants the storm that comes before it. They want growth without growing pains, blessings without battles, clarity without confusion. But that's not how it works. Chaos isn't the end. It's the sign that something old is dying so something new can live. You can't climb higher while carrying everything that's meant to stay behind. So the universe, in all its cruel humor, starts to take things away: people, places, comfort, control. And you scream, thinking it's falling apart. But what if it's falling into alignment? It's funny, isn't it? How when your life starts spinning out of order, you panic, you fight, you resist. You beg for peace while holding on to everything that's breaking you. But chaos doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to expose you. It shows you where you've been fake, where you've been hiding, what you've been pretending not to feel. It tears away the masks you've grown too comfortable wearing. Because sometimes, the only way to see clearly is to watch everything you built collapse. You pray for strength, and life gives you storms. You ask for wisdom, and life gives you confusion. You want peace, and life takes away everything that kept you calm for the wrong reasons. Because real blessings don't come when you're comfortable. They come when you're raw. When you've been stripped down to the bone. When there's nowhere left to run. When you finally stop pretending that you're in control. That's when you learn to listen. That's when the chaos becomes a mirror, and you start to see yourself for the first time. The thing about chaos is, it doesn't knock. It barges in. It flips your plans, rewrites your timeline, and laughs while you try to fix it. You'll lose people you thought were permanent, jobs you thought defined you, dreams you thought were destiny. You'll think you're cursed, but really, you're being cleansed. Because everything that falls apart during chaos was never meant to stay. The real things, the ones meant for you, they survive the storm. They're the pieces still standing when the dust settles. Chaos is how the universe filters your life. It's how you find out what's real and what's just decoration. Most people never get that far because they panic at the first sign of change. They cling to the familiar, even when it's killing them. They don't understand that order can be a prison too. Predictability can be poison. If everything stayed the same, you'd never grow, never evolve, never find out what you're capable of. Chaos doesn't ask for permission because you'd never give it. It forces you to move. It drags you into the next version of yourself, kicking and screaming if it has to. But here's the cruel irony. When chaos finally hits, it's never random. It's timing. It's precision. The breaking always begins right before the breakthrough. You can feel it in your gut, can't you? That strange tension between fear and excitement. That restless energy before a major shift. It's because deep down, some part of you knows. This isn't punishment. This is transformation disguised as disaster. You're not losing control. You're losing illusion. And that's what scares you. Because you've mistaken chaos for danger, when in truth, it's direction. You'll notice how everything intensifies before your blessing arrives. The betrayals cut deeper. The silence grows heavier. The delays get longer. It's because chaos doesn't just test your patience. It refines it. It teaches you not to chase what leaves, not to beg for what's fake, not to fear what's changing. It burns away everything temporary so you can finally stand in what's eternal. The more you fight it, the longer it hurts. The moment you surrender, the pieces start to make sense. But surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that destruction has a design. Every blessing worth receiving requires a breakdown first. Every miracle is born from mess. Every light finds its meaning in the dark. That's the pattern. Order, chaos, order again. And each time, you rise a little stronger, a little clearer, a little less afraid. So when your life starts shaking, when the noise gets unbearable, don't run, listen. Because chaos doesn't come to end your story. It comes to rewrite it. It's the sound of your old self breaking apart, making room for something greater. And if you can endure that storm, if you can breathe through the burning, what comes next will make every scar make sense. Isolation. That's the one thing everyone fears the most. Yet it's the one place where transformation actually begins. People think being alone means being forgotten, abandoned, unworthy. But what if isolation isn't punishment at all? What if it's the silence before the symphony? What if it's the space where everything false falls away, and what's real finally has room to grow? You see, the noise of the world keeps you distracted. Friends, deadlines, validation, endless scrolling, pretending. But when the noise dies down, and it's just you and your thoughts, that's when the truth starts to whisper. And most people can't handle that whisper because it tells them everything they've been running from. It's strange how people crave company, even when the company drains them. They cling to connections that no longer feed their soul just to avoid being alone. They'd rather sit in a crowded room, feeling invisible, than face their own reflection in the quiet, because the quiet shows them things they'd rather not see, the wounds, the disappointments, the patterns. the lies they tell themselves to survive. But that silence, that stillness, that solitude, that's where power hides. That's where clarity begins. Because when everything and everyone is stripped away, what's left is you. The raw, unfiltered, unmasked version of you that doesn't need an audience to exist. People don't realize that isolation is a form of training. You're being separated so you can strengthen. You're being hidden so you can heal. You're being pulled away not because you're rejected, but because you're being refined. The universe doesn't let you take everything and everyone into your next chapter. Some things are meant to end quietly. Some people are meant to fade without warning, and some seasons are meant to be lonely. Not because you did something wrong, but because you're being prepared for something right. Isolation removes the distractions that keep you from seeing the truth. It forces you to confront yourself, to rebuild from the inside, to find validation that doesn't come from applause. You see, everyone wants blessings, but no one wants to be separated. They don't understand that the blessing requires solitude. Before you're seen, you're hidden. Before you're celebrated, you're tested. Before you're trusted with more, you're stripped of what's fake. That's the pattern. First the silence, then the shift. But people mistake the silence for punishment. They panic when no one calls, when things slow down, when the energy shifts. They think they've been forgotten. But silence isn't rejection. It's recalibration. You're not being left behind. You're being positioned. When you're isolated, everything you thought you needed starts to disappear. The friends who were convenient vanish. The things that once entertained you bore you. The distractions that once numbed you stop working. It's like the universe shuts off every escape route until you finally sit with yourself. And that's where the transformation starts. Not in noise, but in stillness. Because when you're left with nothing, you finally see what you actually have. You realize you don't need as much as you thought. You learn to enjoy your own company, to hear your own thoughts, to trust your own instincts. You stop needing validation from the outside world because you start validating yourself. It's not easy. Isolation hurts because it strips away illusions. It shows you who was real and who was just convenient. It forces you to accept that some people only love the version of you that served them. It teaches you that solitude is not emptiness, it's space. Space for healing, for clarity, for strength. You start to understand that peace doesn't come from having people around you. It comes from not needing them to feel whole. That's when the real power shows up, quietly, without an audience. There's a reason every great transformation begins in silence. Seeds grow underground. Caterpillars transform in cocoons. Stars form in darkness. And you're no different. Your isolation is your cocoon. It's where your old self dissolves so the new one can take form. It's uncomfortable. It's quiet. It's lonely. But it's necessary, because when the time comes for you to step out, you won't just walk. You'll soar. And when you do, the same people who once overlooked you will wonder how you did it. They won't realize that the version of you they see now was built in silence, in sleepless nights, in prayers that no one heard, in tears that no one saw. So when you find yourself alone, don't rush to fill the space. Don't chase what left or beg for what's gone. Sit in it. Feel it. Let it shape you. Because that emptiness isn't a void. It's preparation. The silence is teaching you things the noise never could. It's revealing your real strength, your true voice, your hidden potential. You're not being left behind. You're being leveled up. Because when the blessing finally comes, you'll realize why you had to be alone first. The silence wasn't punishment. It was protection. The isolation wasn't loss. It was alignment. You weren't forgotten. You were being built in secret. Pain, it has a strange way of teaching you what peace never could. Everyone runs from it, hides from it, buries it beneath distractions, fake smiles, and noise. But pain doesn't leave when you ignore it. It waits. It waits in the dark corners of your mind, in the quiet moments before you sleep, in the cracks of your laughter. You can silence the world, but you can't silence what lives inside you. That ache, that emptiness, that sharp pull in your chest. It's not your enemy. It's the messenger. It's trying to tell you something that comfort never will. You see, pain is honest. It doesn't lie to you like happiness does. It doesn't wear a mask. It doesn't flatter you. It tells you the truth in its rawest form. It shows you what's broken, what's fake, what's no longer working. It strips you down until there's nothing left but what's real. And people hate that. They hate being exposed to their own truth. That's why they drown it in alcohol, in relationships, in money, in attention. They'll do anything to numb it. Because the truth is unbearable when you've built your whole life trying to avoid it. But the truth doesn't care about your comfort. It cares about your growth. And pain is how it delivers its message. Pain refines you. It burns away what doesn't belong. It kills the ego, crushes the pride, breaks the illusions. It turns the loud, impulsive version of you into something quieter, sharper, wiser. Every scar has a story written in blood and silence. Every wound you survived reshaped you, even when you didn't notice. You don't become strong by being happy. You become strong by surviving what should have destroyed you. The fire that burned you also forged you. The storm that broke you also cleansed you. That's the paradox of pain. It feels like punishment, but it's really preparation. Most people pray for healing, but reject the process that brings it. They want transformation without discomfort, elevation without isolation, wisdom without loss. They want the reward, but not the refinement. But it doesn't work that way. Growth demands sacrifice. Pain is the cost of becoming. You can't evolve while clinging to what keeps you comfortable. The universe doesn't take things from you to punish you. It removes what no longer serves your next chapter. But people call it pain because they can't see the purpose yet. Pain is the architect of your resilience. It builds endurance, patience, and humility. It teaches you to stop depending on people who were never meant to stay. It shows you how to find peace in chaos, how to breathe when everything is burning, how to smile through the ache. It takes away your illusions of control and replaces them with trust. Because when everything you relied on collapses, you either crumble or you rise. And once you've risen from that kind of darkness, you stop fearing it. You start respecting it. Because you know it made you who you are. People think the goal is to avoid pain, but the real goal is to understand it, to see it for what it is, a mirror. It reflects your weaknesses, your attachments, your fears. It shows you what you still need to let go of. It humbles you, strips you, molds you. It doesn't destroy you. It introduces you to the real you, the one that doesn't depend on applause, approval, or comfort, the one that's raw, aware, and awake. The one that doesn't break when life gets heavy because it's already been through the fire and knows it can survive. Pain doesn't just shape your heart, it purifies it. It teaches you compassion. Because once you've suffered deeply, you start to see others differently. You recognize the pain behind their smiles, the struggle behind their silence. You stop judging and start understanding. Pain breaks you open so love can flow through you in ways it couldn't before. It turns bitterness into wisdom, anger into empathy, fear into faith. It doesn't just change what you see, it changes how you see. And the irony is, the moments that felt like endings were actually beginnings. The heartbreak that shattered you was the door to your awakening. The betrayal that destroyed your trust taught you discernment. The loss that hollowed you out created space for something greater. Pain doesn't come to take. It comes to trade. It trades your illusions for truth, your weakness for strength, your fear for freedom. But the exchange only happens when you stop running and start listening. Everyone wants the light, but few want to walk through the dark to reach it. Pain is that dark tunnel. It's long, it's suffocating, it's lonely. But every step through it peels away the layers of who you were until you stand stripped and raw before your own soul. And then clarity comes. Not the kind that comforts you, but the kind that frees you. You realize the worst thing that ever happened to you was actually the best thing that could have happened, because it woke you up. It showed you that survival isn't just about breathing, it's about becoming. So don't curse the pain. Don't bury it. Feel it. Let it move through you. Because what you feel, you heal. What you face, you overcome. Pain isn't your prison. It's your passage. It's the way the universe breaks you open to rebuild you stronger. It's the process of rebirth disguised as suffering. And those who endure it without losing their heart become something rare. Unbreakable, unbothered, unstoppable. Have you ever noticed how silence gets louder when you finally stop pretending everything's fine? That's when the truth sneaks in, quiet, cold, merciless. It doesn't knock. It just walks right in and sits beside you, whispering things you've tried so hard not to hear. That's the moment most people run from, but that's the very place transformation begins. Because when you're stripped of noise, stripped of people, stripped of the lies you tell yourself to survive, that's when you meet the real you. the one who's been hiding beneath layers of expectations, mistakes, and masks. The one who's been screaming for freedom while you kept him locked behind fear. There's something hauntingly beautiful about isolation. It's not punishment, though it feels like it. It's clarity wearing the disguise of loneliness. It's the universe pulling you away from everyone and everything so you can finally hear your own heartbeat again. People think being alone means being forgotten, but that's not true. Sometimes being alone means being chosen for a deeper conversation, a brutal awakening, because in silence, the illusions die. You start to see who's real, what matters, and what never did. You see how much energy you've wasted trying to be understood by those who never intended to understand you. You start to see the cost of your own pretending. People call it darkness. But it's not darkness, it's detox. It's your spirit cleansing itself from the poison of false comfort, fake friends, and shallow living. That emptiness you feel isn't a void. It's space being made for something greater. You've been carrying too much for too long, the guilt, the expectations, the disappointments. You've been living for approval, chasing validation, pretending you're okay just to keep the peace. But peace built on pretending is just slow destruction. And life will tear that down eventually. It will take everything you hide behind until you have no choice but to face yourself. People fear that point. They think it's the end. It's not. It's the reset. You don't find your strength in a crowd. You find it in the silence after the crowd leaves. You don't find faith when everything's easy. You find it when you're surrounded by doubt, with nothing left to hold on to but belief. The quiet moments where you think you're breaking are actually where you're being rebuilt. Because what's real doesn't break. It bends, it reshapes, it endures. What's fake, on the other hand, falls apart the moment pressure hits. That's why life isolates you, so it can remove the weak parts, burn away what can't follow you to the next level. You ever realize how pain reveals who's really there for you? Not when you're winning, not when you're shining, but when you're shattered. When you have nothing to offer but your broken pieces, and they still show up. That's loyalty. But most disappear, don't they? That's because your darkness makes them uncomfortable. They preferred the version of you that smiled, that served, that kept quiet about your pain. But now that you're raw, real, unfiltered, they can't handle it. Let them go. Their exit was your revelation. Because not everyone can handle the light that comes from someone who's been through the dark and survived it. And that's the irony. People want your strength, but not your story. They admire your glow, but forget it came from fire. They love your peace, but don't see the wars you fought to earn it. But you'll know. You'll carry that silence like a medal because you faced what they couldn't. You walked through loneliness and found yourself waiting at the end of it. You learned that solitude isn't suffering, it's sanctuary. That's where you reconnect with the voice that doesn't lie. The voice that says, you're not broken, you're becoming. That's the lesson hidden inside the loneliness, that growth requires emptiness first. You can't be filled until you've been emptied. You can't rise until you've fallen. You can't be awakened until something inside you dies. And that's what silence does. It kills the false you, so the real one can finally breathe. It's uncomfortable, yes. It hurts, yes. But it's necessary, because the person you were built for comfort. And the person you're becoming is built for purpose. And the funny thing about pain is, once you stop fighting it, it starts to work for you. It sharpens your perception, deepens your understanding, makes you see through facades like glass. You start noticing the energy behind words, the intentions behind smiles. You stop chasing, stop begging, stop explaining. You start observing. You start choosing. That's the shift. When your energy no longer leaks through desperation, but flows through direction. When you no longer seek attention, but attract alignment. That's when you know you've crossed over from victim to creator. Most will never understand it. They'll see you detach and call it cold. They'll see you quiet and call it distant. They'll see you alone and call it sad. But they'll never see the peace behind your stillness, the freedom behind your solitude. They'll never see how much strength it takes to walk away from everything untrue, to stop forcing connections that drain your spirit. They'll never see that you didn't lose people. You lost illusions. And the price of peace was simply letting go of what couldn't follow you. So when life goes quiet, when the noise fades and you're left with only yourself, don't panic. That's the moment creation begins. That's the moment truth enters. That's the moment your real power wakes up. Because the ones who learn to stand in silence without losing their mind are the ones who come back with a roar the world can't ignore. You ever notice how life gets the loudest right before it all starts making sense? The noise, the confusion, the chaos. It's almost like the world is testing you, daring you to lose faith just a moment before everything changes. Uncertainty, that's the real battlefield. Not pain, not loss, not failure. Uncertainty. That sick feeling in your stomach when you don't know what's next. That silence between what was and what will be. That's where most people break. They start clawing for control, for answers, for anything that'll make the unknown stop breathing down their necks. But that's the trick. There are no answers there. Just the quiet hum of faith, waiting to be chosen. When everything feels uncertain, that's not a sign you're lost. It's proof you're finally stepping into something real. Because certainty is comfort, and comfort kills growth. You don't evolve when you know what's coming next. You evolve when the ground beneath you shakes, and you keep walking anyway. The universe doesn't give you clarity first. It gives you